Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing our mono green aggro avatar of the Resolute deck once again, and this time we are playing against a Jeskai aggro deck, I guess. Jeskai tokens, using Monastery Mentor and young Pyromancer in a sort of more common Jeskai control kind of build. Quite an interesting deck. So let's get underway, shall we? So our opener wasn't very exciting, not many creatures, so decided to ship that back. This 6 hard hand is a little better, not ideal, but we've got a 1-drop and a 2-drop, and then a way to protect our guys, and then a removal spell as well, so not the worst. Front leads off with a Steam Fence, so lets it into play tapped. I'll lead off with Militant, just going to tap for 2. Resolute, unfortunately that's going to eat a remand, so that goes back to hand. One plays Electrolyze, killing off our Militant. We should also take 1 point of damage, but Electrolyze is still for some reason, so that doesn't happen. Not that it makes a great deal of difference. Play Avatar, opponent plays a young Pyromancer, then pass on our upkeep, targeting the Avatar. I could have used the Vines of Vastwood to protect the Avatar, and probably should have done, all things considered. Could have actually gotten for 6 this turn. For some reason it slipped my mind. I was more focused on dismembering the young Pyromancer, which is what we did. But yeah, fairly crucial point in the game actually. I think reviewing the replay cost us quite dearly, not using Vines of Vastwood here and just letting our guy be fast. Certainly a mistake, I think. So we get land, draw a Cloning Tusker, which we're going to run out. Opponent plays Monastery Mentor, which is definitely something we didn't want to see. Way to answer it directly, and it's going to cause us a lot of problems. Now another Avatar. Opponent plays Serum Visions, which makes another token, triggers his prowess guys. Gets him into another Serum Visions, which again helps build up his guys. I mean, definitely not in a very good year. It's got a lot of blockers. I mean, in theory we could set up a huge attack with our sort of double Vines of the Vastwood on our trampling guy, but it doesn't seem like a great idea. Opponent tries to kill off the other Avatar, which forces us to use our Vines. One of his tokens for no particular reason. He kind of should have attacked with everything or nothing, I think. But yeah, we'll just ate that up. Running Strangleroot, but not really in a position to attack, unfortunately, which leaves us pretty vulnerable. Difficult to see how we're going to win this from here. But it has a giant Vengeance, which again, a big problem. Not really going to be able to attack it to get rid of it. He tries to use the Lightning Helix ability to kill off our Avatar, but we're going to protect that with Vines, which just staves off an attack for another turn, unfortunately. Not going to be able to do a whole lot else. Try and kill off the Ajani with an attack from the Geist. Really, the worst thing that happens is it grows my Geist, so that seemed reasonable, but doesn't turn out too well for us really. He's just going to be able to chump, and then we're in a really bad position. Snapcaster gets a bolt back. Again, makes more tokens. Puts him in a position to attack. Don't really want to block there. Draw Vines of Vastwood, but I end up conceding because I just can't really see a way to win from here. I mean, I suppose we could attack with the Avatar, maybe killed off the Vengeance, but I just don't see that being a winning play really. Opponent's still got a couple of cards in hand and probably a lot more gas than us, and it's going to be very difficult to win from here, I feel. So that wraps that one up. Let's go on to game 2. This hand's missing a 1-drop, but otherwise it's fairly good. We've got plenty of gas, and a removal spell for a young pyromancer or a monastery mentor or what have you. So quite like that. That leads off a colonnade. We draw into experiment 1, and we're just going to run out this Geist and get aggro. Cast Serum Visions into a Misty Rainforest. Which is fine. We attack with the Geist again. Decided to just run out the experiment 1 rather than the Tusker there. I think just to try and maximise our experiment 1. It's going to grow a couple of times with the Tusker and the Leatherback Balos. It seems good, but maybe not the right player. Maybe I should have been a bit more aggressive there with just running out of Tusker. I chose the path. I tried to use Vines of Vastwood, but unfortunately that eats a Spell Pierce. Kind of surprised he against us, unless that was just already in his deck, given that we're quite spell light generally. Not entirely, we've got Aspect of Hydra and Dismember, etc., but seemed like an odd card to have against this particular deck. So land, otherwise that would have ended up being a sort of pretty bad play, as we'd only been able to attack for 1 this turn with our experiment 1. But as it stands, we drew a land, so we could run out the Tusker. I'm going to get to evolve the experiment 1 and attack for 2 this turn, put the opponent down to 14. Bolt eats our Tusker, which is unfortunate. Draw another land, which isn't ideal, but it does mean we can play this Baloth and not have to worry about mana leak or remand, as we could just recast the Baloth. We now have a 3/3 experiment 1, which is nice. It's going to activate our Treetop Village so we can get as much damage in as possible. There's not really a lot of point in keeping a Dismember, I suppose. If he drew another land, played a Monastery Mentor, and another spell, then maybe we would have been upset, but we still wouldn't be much we could do about that, so I don't think that would ever be too much of a problem for us. I think we're way better off just getting aggro on against our opponent. So, opponent actually concedes there. I assume he was just sort of light on removal or light on things to do, and that he was just a bit behind really, and just couldn't get there. Either that or he had a lot of expensive spells and no lands, I'm not really sure, but yeah, ended up managing to pick up the win there, which is nice. So let's go on to the decider. This hand's fairly nice. Scavenging Ooze isn't as nice as the other 2-drops. I probably would have liked one of the other 2-drops in the deck over Scavenging Ooze, but we've got double experiment 1 into a Scavenging Ooze, which can evolve both. Seems nice. Rancor is always good. Aspect of Hydra, also a nice card. So I'm going to leave with experiment 1. After our opponent leads with a colonnade, Serum Visions, and then I run out experiment 1 and just stick a Rancor on it. Like to get Rancor out when our opponent's not able to counter it, and also in general, if they can't do anything about the Rancor, then at the very least it's going to come back when they kill our creature, so that seems nice. Opponent has a Mentor, which is a little scary. Whenever you don't have an answer to Mentor, you feel like you might be in trouble. Get to play a land here. I decided to run the Scavenging Ooze rather than one of our other 2-drops out here. I think it was primarily in case of Snapcaster. Him being able to Snapcaster back a Bolt or something would be quite annoying, and Scavenging Ooze provides a nice answer to that. Also, if he doesn't do anything at the end of turn, we can potentially eat our experiment 1 and have a 3/3, so that seems fairly good. And we're still able to evolve our experiment 1 here. that works out fairly nicely. So I'm going to attack for 4 here. It's not going to block, which is fine. Also, him blocking would have been fine, I feel, but it has a path. 1. Going to get a Rancor back, and we're going to get a 4 out of our deck here, which is nice. It means that we potentially play both our other 2 drops next turn if we want to. Attacks for 3. Could have blocked an 8 the experiment 1, but I just don't think that would have worked out well for us. Chances are one of the other 3 cards in our opponent's hand is an instant spell, so not happy to go for that. Could have experiment 1 end of turn, but I think that would have been a risky play. I suppose there isn't much he could have done about it. I suppose if he bolted, I suppose that actually the worst thing he would have done would be Snapcaster and then bolt, which could be avoided by not using the Scavenging Ooze at that point in time. So I feel like I was better off not using it. So run out of Treetop Village, try and play Strangleroot Geist, but unfortunately that eats a Spell Snare. So our opponent's going to get another token, and we are not going to get our Strangleroot Geist. And just pass the turn with our Scavenging Ooze up. Again, Snapcaster, and potentially we can eat these guys to make a 4/4. So opponent has a Snapcaster, so that turned out well for us. We eat up the Serum Visions that he targets with it, so he doesn't get any value off his Snapcaster. Fortunately, our opponent's follow-up is a path, I believe. So more tokens, and he's going to have like an open attack. I just eat one of the creatures in our graveyard, basically to get an extra life for what it's worth. But yeah, this position is not good for us, and we're going to take 7 there, down to 11. So fortunately our hand is reasonably stacked, and we're just going to be able to run it all out. Play out the Tusker, stick a Rancor on it, play out the Avatar of the Resolute. So we've got a series of Tramplers as well as the Treetop Village, which is a Trampler as well, and the Aspect of Hydra, which is good for a good 5 points of damage at this point, which is nice. So I mean, we are a little up behind the 8 ball, but at the same time we do have a good counter attack on our hands, and our opponent is down to 0 cards and just 10 life. Opponent decides to activate his Colonnade and attack for 4, which is 4 cards in hand, so we don't have to be worried about anything. And as it turns out, we can actually do exactly 10 damage. So yeah, it was a bad decision to activate the Colonnade. If he hadn't, I wouldn't have been in a position to attack here. Or I could have done, but it would have been less favourable for me, and might not have worked out quite so well. I suppose I probably would have done it either way, but I probably would have lost 2 creatures in that event. But I think probably still right to attack here because we've got the Scavenging Ooze to follow up. So attack with all my guys in ways that you probably wouldn't like to, and then I use Aspect of the Hydra on the Treetop Village. I mean, I could have used it on any of my creatures, doesn't really matter, they all, which is nice. And yeah, actually going to do exactly 10 damage to our opponent here. So yeah, he could have saved 4 damage by not activating the Colonnade on his turn, and then I would have been forced to do something slightly different, I imagine, depending on how he blocked. But yeah, worked out fairly well for us, and we did manage to steal that win back, even though it looked a little unlikely at one stage. So yeah, having lots of green trampling creatures can work out pretty nicely, as it did here.